You should have a plan, a backup plan, and even go as far as a tertiary plan. Now, if all three of those fail, then it comes down to your resiliency to be able to get back up and be like, all right, now what do I need to change? What do I need to do different? Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. We do this all the time.
You are now tuning in to the Relentless Project. Real people, real stories, real life.
Welcome to the Relentless Project. For those who don't know, this is the one with, how do you say your last name? I don't want to mess it up. Scheller.
Scheller. Yeah, I'm German. Part German.
Another German.
I'm a German leprechaun.
So we'll this is Derek Scheller. Appreciate you for reaching out, man. I kind of looked over your stuff, and I think you offer a lot of insight that kind of goes, not a lot of people talk about it enough, I feel like, especially with the mental health stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But the cybersecurity stuff and IT and techie and all, I'm a nerd when it comes to stuff like that, because a lot of the stuff I do now has been kind of self-taught.
Oh, yeah.
So to talk to someone who actually knows what they're doing, probably cool.
Well, it's one of those things, like, because even I, so when I got out of the Army and decided in 2020, I wanted to do my own podcast for cybersecurity at the time, and was doing a lot of technical stuff. I had never done graphic design. I had never done video editing. I had never done audio editing. Like, I was a broadcast engineer in the Army for a little while before they put me into cybersecurity. So I learned a lot of that stuff, but it was more the engineering side. So it was the back end, like how to connect mics, how to white balance and color balance and all that other stuff. And then I was like, I don't know any of this. So I self-taught myself the editing side of things while understanding the computer side of things. So, but I've always been big on, like, you have to be able to self-teach yourself things in this life.
Does having that back-end knowledge of, I guess, how things work together and work help with the, like, this part of everything, like with your podcast and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah, because I've been big, like, all right, so a little backstory to kind of like how I got into even IT and cybersecurity before the mental health even came into play. When I was a kid, I fixed my first computer, I think, at like 8 years old, because I broke my dad's computer. And you figure back in that day, it was like,
it was the big computer.
oh, man, huge desktop. It was. We were running Windows. I don't know if it was DOS or 311 at the time. I forget which one it was. And I called up my buddy, because I played football and all that other stuff. So I called up my buddy's dad, who knew about computers. I said, hey, I got this on the screen. What's it mean? He goes, it means you crashed a hard drive. I was like, oh, don't tell my dad. And so my dad came home, we fixed it. But then from that point on, I learned how to connect surround sound systems. I learned how to get all this stuff programmed. This is before YouTube, into your TV, so that your
that's
audio
the wild
worked
part
right.
to me.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people get away with stuff, me included, because of YouTube.
Yeah. I learned all this without YouTube. It was, you figure we had dial-up internet and things like that. And so I would, what was it at the time? An AOL search or Netscape Navigator, whatever I had at the time. And hey, how do I connect this surround sound system? I didn't have a video. And I hate watching videos to learn how to do stuff half the time these days. I literally, give me the written, like, step by step.
Interesting.
And I'll figure things out that way. When I'm like watching a video, between the ads and the, like, just the way some people explain things, I don't understand the way they explain. Give me the step-by-step written instructions. And then from there, I can understand what's going on. But that's also why I sucked in the Army when I was going through my electrical engineering course. I need to know the why. And my instructor was like, FM. I'm like, no, dude, don't tell me it's magic. Like, I need to know why this does this.
Because it just does.
Yeah.
Like, trust it. Okay.
Trust the process. Like,
well, that's like today's generation too. Like, we deal with that at work. I'm an old head at heart and mind.
Yeah.
But I'm relatively younger, I guess, in the law enforcement age, because every cop now is like 80. But like, I have these conversations with my supervisors, and they're like, how can we, like, connect and get guys to understand? And I'm like, well, you probably don't want to hear this, because if you're talking to me, if you tell me, hey, especially if I trust you, right? If you've created that buy-in.
right.
If I trust you as a leader and you tell me, go play in traffic, okay.
Yeah.
Because there's a reason you're telling me to do that.
Right.
But if you're not a good leader, you haven't created that buy-in with your guys, you're going to get that, hey, I need you to secure this corner. Why?
That is I think the hardest thing even in the Army. So when I did my first 6.5 years in the Air National Guard right here in Pennsylvania, when I went to basic training at 17 years old, we didn't ask why. They said, go do this, and you did.
You went at 17 as well?
Oh, yeah.
Hey!
Yeah. Dude, I left for basic training for the Air Force 3 days after I walked across the stage for my high school graduation back in 2004. And so I literally, there was no why. It was just go do it. And you did it. You didn't question it. But then fast forward 6.5 years later, I decided I wanted to go active duty. Air Force wouldn't take me, so I went into the Army. And when I went through basic training there, I cannot tell you the level of disrespect I felt hearing these young privates, because I ended up being able to keep my rank. So I went through as an E5. And hearing these young privates go, why? You don't know where I came from. Why? Like, dude.
We would have got
and these people were allowed to graduate. And I was done.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I just turned 38 this past January.
Okay. Which is crazy, because I feel like I had the similar experience. Like, I didn't ask questions. Actually, I went in there. I was my mouth got me in trouble a lot growing up.
Usually
humble beginnings, a lot of street fights. I convinced my mom doesn't speak English, convince her to sign me up for the National Guard because I'm 17. I said, to speak with me, you need to fill out this big form, and they have to go over all my medical. And she's like, why? Just to talk. I'm like, oh, just to talk, you need to sign. So bamboozled her into signing me, enlisting me. But there was none of, like, I went in there, I was like, dude, this is the real deal. Like, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm not, dude, you know how many times I got yelled at? And inside, I'm like, fucking do something, pussy, right? Like, but like, that never came out of my mouth, you know? And then they look at you and like, you have something to say. I'm just like,
nope.
No, sir. No problems with none of you, right? But then a few years later, I'm actually someone I went to high school with, enlisted, and they're posting, there's probably 5 or 6, they're posting on their Facebook from basic.
Dude,
and I was like, dude, I didn't even see my phone.
I didn't even have a phone.
We couldn't take it.
So in 2004, when I went through, I didn't have a phone. And your first phone call, they handed you actually should have brought calling cards.
Yes.
And you had pay phones. And it was, you pick up that phone and you don't say anything else but get a pen. And when they get their pen, you say, here's my address. I love you. I'm safe. Goodbye. There was no phone call. It was an address to write letters. And then I think, so at the time, Air Force Basic was 6.5 weeks. You got maybe 1 or 2 other calls the entire time you were there. Not a bad thing. Training was legit. I absolutely loved what Air Force training, basic training at that time, did for me. But going to the Army, now it's, we're going to take away your cell phone time. Your what?
You have cell phone? I think
they did. Every Sunday, they were supposed to have cell phone time. And I'm like, this is ridiculous.
See, we got chapel, which I thought was like, wow.
That was us.
So at that time, I wasn't big into my faith, but I was like, I'm going to go use this time.
Dude, we would use every chapel session. And I remember being, and I was never a Catholic, but I would go to the Catholic service because it was different time than the Lutheran service. Because
it was 12 hours long.
Catholic, right? And I would literally sit there, and I remember getting yelled at one time because I had my the Bible or the one of the books open, and I'm literally looking down at it, and I'm sleeping. Dude, I was out. And they would That's
came when you wake up, amen.
Right? So they came up to me, and they were like, hey. I said, what? I'm praying. You would literally use that time to get away from the drill sergeants or the drill instructors. That's what you did.
That was your downtime. Yeah. What would you attribute that culture change to? Like, why have things gotten this
social
way?
Media, hands down.
Social media.
As much as I live on social media to promote myself, right, my mental health and motivation and everything that I do, and even in cybersecurity, it is the biggest downfall to society, because now, one, you have shortened the attention span of society, especially kids. because we call them the iPad generation, right? So Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they're the iPad generation of parents that don't want to parent their kids. And they throw an iPad at them and they're like, hey, go play on your iPad. Go play video games. We didn't grow up with video games. Like, yeah, we got them, but the primary aspect of our lives was outside.
Outside, yeah.
I basically got raised like a Gen Xer, like go outside, go play, don't come back till the street lights come on. But don't be late either, because if you're late, then you're not going to be allowed to go outside. And that was like the worst. Like, tell me I can't go outside and play. It was so bad.
Dude, I got grounded one time, and I was told to stay in my room and watch TV. I was like, what?
So,
well, I don't even watch what is on TV.
Right?
Like, I'm not allowed to watch half the stuff anyway.
I had Power Rangers when I got home from school. That was the extent of my TV time that I cared about. And even having video games, like I was never a big gamer. Like, yeah, sure, as I got older and into college and stuff, I played like Call of Duty and things like that. But growing up, my dad played the video games. We had the original NES, and I remember him damn near through the Nintendo because Castlevania, when he was on the last level, ended up crashing. And this is back, no save games, no, you didn't have memory cards or things like that.
No, it was
we had the NES.
The Nintendo. Yeah. The great Nintendo had like the little stick that you can it was like 12 megabytes you can save your progress.
No, we didn't even have that. Like our original Nintendo Entertainment System, which had like Super Mario Brothers 3 and 2 and 1 and Castlevania. Like every once in a while as a family, we'd sit down and play like Super Mario Brothers because I grew up with 3 older sisters. But my dad was real big on Castlevania, and I still remember that we had this tiny TV in the dining room that he had set up specifically to play this game, and he's playing, and I'm sitting there watching him. I'm like, yeah, Dad, you got this. And then the game crashed, and I was like, and I saw my dad's face. I was like, oh.
He's like, leave the room. You're going to witness something. You know what just hit me right now? Think about how we've developed as a society. And I use the word developed as changed, right? We had video games back then. And it was, if you played now, you played until you died and reset or lost and reset and kept going. There was no saving your progress. You were more intentional with what you were doing. Mm-hmm. Now, your progress is saved every 5 seconds.
Yep.
So like if you lose, you just, boom, boom. And it goes back to attention span too. Our videos now, YouTube was like the big, I feel like the big first one where it was like you upload videos and you watch them.
Yep.
And then it developed. Now we have TikTok where it was like 6 seconds.
Yeah.
And then.
Well, I think the original was Vine. And there might have been something before that. So Vine kind of started the short video trend. And at that time, I ain't gonna lie, I didn't use it. I didn't care for it. But it was pretty cool because you get like these, some people got pretty big doing comedy on Vine.
Yeah, I remember that era.
But then also remember that came out during the Jackass generation. People were getting big doing the same dumb stuff they did on Jackass. So after Vine came, I believe it was called music.ly, and then, which basically Musical.ly. That didn't go anywhere. And then TikTok came around. TikTok started out at, I think, at like 30 seconds. Then they went to a minute, and then to like 3 minutes. And now you can upload upwards of 10-minute videos because they're trying to compete with YouTube and Instagram. Problem is, Instagram, you can only go up to 3 minutes. Then you need a second reel and then another reel. YouTube, you can go up to, it was 60 seconds initially. Now you can do 3 minutes. And then for their shorts, but then you always had long form content. You always had longer shows and longer videos that you could post on there. The reels, the shorts, and TikTok especially, I believe, have dumbed down this generation.
Yes, yes.
Because you can't focus. When people talk about food, is the food bad that's causing a lot of the attention, ADD, ADHD, things like that? You're getting these high sugars and things like that. Yes, but I think it is the social media experiment that's gone on that's made it even worse. Because even growing up, I drank Mountain Dew my entire life. Like caffeine has been in my blood since I was probably like 6 years old. There isn't a day
I was drinking coffee as a kid.
Right? There isn't a day that goes by I don't drink caffeine. But I still paid attention in school. I still got good grades up until I quit caring. But generally speaking, if I cared, I got good grades. But since social media came along, go ahead and try to get someone to watch a video or pay attention longer than a minute. It's almost impossible.
And then like doing this stuff, you have your podcast and all that. You kind of have to pay attention to like the trends and I don't pay too much. I just, if I like what I hear, I like, man, I'll clip this because I want someone else to hear it. That's how I typically do it. That's why I don't get thousands and thousands and thousands. But I talk to people and they're like, oh, you should edit. And when you edit, cut the dead spots because people like that. And I'm like, this is what we've gotten as a society. The 30 seconds that I'm posting is too long to keep your attention. I now have to cut out the likes, the the dead spaces.
I don't even do that.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what we've developed. When you see videos that take off, they're super edited, super like, and then you watch the actual message and you're like, that wasn't even the message of the reel.
Yeah.
Or the post. It's a completely different message that they've cut up just to suck your attention in.
And algorithms are a damnable thing. So I put out a TikTok video and it didn't get big. Like none of my TikTok videos, except unless someone popular reposts it, they don't ever get more than a couple hundred views on TikTok, which is fine by me, whatever. But I made it a point and I did one video that was specifically edited for almost like transition. Like every 5 to 10 seconds, I either changed my shirt, changed the scenery, did something so that it had these quick cuts, and then something else changed in frame that would trigger your mind to keep up with it. Again, didn't really go off, but the point to it was, and my explanation behind why I will never do those videos again, is because I want you to listen to the message. I could care less how long it is. If you're there for the message and if it's meant for you, then you'll listen. If you're only here because you want to keep your brain engaged for 30 seconds for comedy or for all the drama that goes on in the world or anything else like that, that's on you.
There's so many videos like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, find it.
So for me, I will always, and again, my biggest thing about the videos I do is even when I talk cybersecurity and do my weekly show on Security Happy Hour, it's all about, I always try to bring things back to the relationships we build, the motivation, the mental health aspect of things, the discipline mindset and things like that, so that people understand that you have to discipline yourself in order to get far in this world, because your motivation isn't always going to be there. Your mental health some days is going to be absolute garbage. But if you have the discipline and you build the habits of, yes, I want to engage in longer form videos, I want to be able to drive myself further in my career, which is going to require me to buckle down and do the work and understand that it's necessary. I may hate it, but it's necessary. Then once you get to that point in life, your mental health isn't going to suffer as much, because now you have the disciplined mindset that the good things you're trying to achieve will come.
It boils down to what can you control, right? Discipline is something we can control once it's built.
Yep.
Like if we're talking science, right? We have a fixed variable, and then whatever you call a non-fixed variable, which is escaping me right now.
A variable.
A variable. You have a fixed variable and then just a variable. So like, are you going to depend on external, which is motivation, to get you to do what you need to do? Or are you going to depend on what's inside of you to do what needs to be done? And we see this, perfect examples with the gym.
Yep.
I'm not motivated to go to the gym. So what? Neither am I. But it's something I have to do.
Yeah. And I have these, I had this conversation with someone recently, and I said, look, the reason I quit going to the gym was because of fear, right? So I have, from my time in the Army, I have a bad lower back. My hips are jacked. My neck is jacked, both my shoulders, my knees. But I did, about 2 years ago, I spent 2 months solid, lost about 20 pounds. I had cut out a lot of the alcohol I was drinking. Like I was doing what I needed to do. Well, then I threw my back out. I didn't even get to lift the weight. I literally bent over and my back went. And so once that got better, I still had this fear of, I'm going to go back and it's going to happen again. And I got 5 boys. I coach football. Like I need to be mobile. And I was like, I'm afraid I'm going to do it again. So it took me about 2 years. Actually, it took me a little over a year to go back. And then my dumbass does what I always do, and I overdid it. And then I spent a week where I couldn't lift my arms because I burnt them out so bad, I literally couldn't move the muscle in them. I was like, crap. So then it took me another year to get back. Well, I was going to go back March 1st, and then I found out I tore my labrum, and my bicep tendon is jacked up. And I just had knee surgery January 31st.
Hey, welcome to the knee surgery club, bro.
Right? And so I was like, all right, I'll go back on the 1st. I'll do what little I can with my legs, but then I really want to strengthen my shoulders and my back and my core and stuff like that. And then they're like, hey, your labrum's torn. And I'm like,
of course it is.
I'm like, am I ever going to be able to like get back to who I need to be? And again, it comes down to discipline, but we also got to take into account that fear. People are afraid of the unknown. People are afraid of things that they can't control. And so when you let that fear control you, you're no longer in control of yourself. And so when we're looking at the discipline side of things, people are like, oh yeah, I can control this. But then they see this one existential factor that they can't control, whether that's, how somebody might react or work or something like that. And they let that feed into them. And now their whole day is gone. They don't know how to react. And it's because a lot of times we start reacting emotionally versus logically. And I think that's where we look at the mental health aspect of things, even when it comes to discipline, because you figure you had years of when people would go to work, they worked the worst jobs. They didn't care. They showed up. They were there for their family. They didn't talk, especially men. You weren't allowed to talk about your mental health. You weren't allowed to have emotion. You just kind of went in, you did the thing, and then you went about your day. Most of the time, they'd suck it up. They'd deal with it, drink a beer, and go about their merry way. But now we are recognizing that we need to find a valid way to actually have emotion, especially as men. Well, people are overdoing it. So now you have these extremes where, and you'll see this a lot, people with their mental health, when they start crashing out, it's because they've never known how to talk. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to express emotion. And when they do, they've been burned. And so then they lock back up, and now they're you're getting one extreme or the other. You're either overly expressive and breaking down and becoming emotional reaction to everything, or you go strictly logical, but you're never dealing with what you need to deal with. So you start lashing out and you start having problems at home and at work. And then when things go bad, you want to blame everybody else instead of taking control of your own situation. And so the discipline factor comes into knowing when to do what, because there is a time and a place to do certain things. And when you don't have the discipline to recognize that, and you start crashing out and breaking down every 2 seconds or whatever the case may be, and getting really emotional all the time, you have no discipline, dude. Like, take care of yourself. Go get help and talk to a doctor. Go to the gym and work out. Go to a boxing ring and do something physical and beat someone down, in a boxing ring where it's legal and it's allowed. Whatever the case may be, you need a way to express yourself, but in the right way and in the right setting.
Yeah, right environment. No,
Yeah.
that makes a good point. And then with that comes the labels, right? If you're shelled up and he's cold, he's toxic. If you overexpress, he's weak. He's not a man. Like we start painting these labels, and then this is something I've actually dealt with recently. I'm like, do I get to have an opinion on this? Do I get to feel about this? No, this is petty. This is dumb. Like I'll keep this inside. Like, and it's this constant battle of, do I express myself? Is expressing myself worth the outlash that's going to come? The backlash that's going to come. I speak 2 languages, folks. Is it worth the backlash that's going to come, or do I just do it anyway? Yeah. So it's this constant battle we as people deal with, like men, women, everyone.
Yeah.
And I think we're 2 men here talking about mental health, specifically prominent in men. And then we men, we were hunters and gatherers, and we're known for physicalness and violence, controlled and non-controlled. How do we, if you're not training and using those good outlets, what's happening inside of you? I feel like that's where a lot of this anger, like I see this a lot of time. A lot of the people who yell at me in cars are men who don't fight, who don't train, who don't do anything. Those are the first ones to pop off. And my reaction is like, is this worth a fight for you?
Well, even online you see that, right? There's the common phrase, keyboard warriors. People who would never say anything to your face will say something online where they feel protected. Nobody's going to do anything to them. No one can say anything. They're not going to get smacked in the mouth for the things that they say. And again, this goes back to social media being a detriment to society. We have given this brazenness in this protective shell that people think they have because no one's going to know, or no one can do anything about it. So who cares? And so a lot of people are using that as their outlet. And one of the things that I like to tell people, because some people get caught up in what other people think of them, right? They're always going to be upset, or, well, they don't like me, or this, that, the third. Dude, look, we all need haters. Because what I have found is the people that hate on others and the people that are jealous of others are because that person or where they want to be, they just don't have the discipline and the mindset to go get it. And so I don't mind when people hate on me. I don't mind when people judge me. Go ahead, because I'm going to keep growing and doing better while you're sitting there complaining about the fact that I have something you don't.
It's a good way to look at it. Yeah, social media. We post something, right? Like, let's say it's a picture of something you had fun doing today, and then someone is sitting in their house. This is why I don't respond to like negative comments like that, because in my mind, this is what's happening. I just posted something I'm proud of or I'm happy about, and someone is on their couch, probably handful of Doritos, and they're like, oh, I don't know this person, and I'm going to give them my unsolicited opinion, and it's going to be negative, because why would it be positive, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to bring, and they're sitting there, they're deleting, they're like, oh, this is it. This is the right post. And like, what did that solve? What was gained?
Absolutely nothing.
But we as people will look at that and be like, and we're bothered by it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this person I don't know, never met, will never see in my life had this to say about me. Something I was proud of.
Yep. And I've seen that a lot, even on Twitter, right? Or X now. So I got a good friend of mine. She's doing really well for herself and was able to buy a McLaren. Like, finally had the money, was able to get this gorgeous car. She's had it wrapped. She takes it racing and stuff. And she's proud of it. She earned it. Like, built herself up, made the money, and earned the ability to buy that car. So she'll like post up like, hey, what should I wrap it in, this or this? And this, that, that, third. And people literally will come out of the woodwork. Oh, it's nice that you're able to afford that car. Like, she earned it. She's proud of something that she's wanted for a long time, was finally able to afford it and bought it. You're just jealous because you haven't put in the work and the effort to get what she has. And stuff like that bugs me, because these are people that are going to go out there and complain and play victim and say, oh, well, you have something I don't have. It's because of da-da-da. Dude, no, get off your butt and go earn it. Like, I look at everything as we have to earn everything in this world. There is nothing in this world for free. And if it's for free, you're probably the currency.
Yeah.
I mean, something's coming out. You just don't know it. And so when I look at what people buy and what people do, now, is there a certain point in time where things become excessive? Yes. But for people that are working a corporate job and they're sales or they're engineers or they're marketing or whatever the case may be, and they do all the right things, they save their money, they pay their bills, and they're able to afford, I don't know, a vacation to Paris or a new car that's maybe it's a fully loaded like F-150 or whatever, or a McLaren or a Lotus or whatever the case may be, right? They've done all the right things. Maybe they have kids, maybe they don't. But at the end of the day, that's something to be proud of because they worked for it. They've earned it. And when people get mad at that, I just go, dude, I would hate to have your life, because you have this mentality of the whole world is against you, that you're never going to go anywhere.
I think my biggest flex is I was that person.
Yeah.
I was that person when I was younger. I was, oh, why do they have this? I don't. And as I matured and grew and realized, like, my complaining has brought me nothing but trouble. How do I reshape my mind? And read the books, followed people online, found mentors, and I'm like, dude, like you said, nothing in this life is given or guaranteed. And just because some may have it, that has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
How do I change that from me? If that's what I want, how do I get it? Mm-hmm. Now I got to take the appropriate steps to get to whatever that is. And it's funny because I was just having this conversation with Andy, who was on the show last time, and I'm like, he comes in here, he's like, dude, this is crazy, this is professional, this is Joe Rogan, this, and I'm so close to this, I'm looking at this, I'm like, man, there's so much I see in this that I want to make it, and it's not there yet, right? And I see these other podcasts talking about some athlete or actor who, didn't salute or didn't say hi at a thing, and that they have millions of views, and I'm like, dude, I have awesome people here sharing cool stories. Like, why isn't this getting shared? And I'm so close. And he's telling me this. And I'm looking back. I'm like, wow, dude, last year, I didn't have a studio. Last year, I was traveling to people's houses and gyms. And like, I am so further along than where I was. And I'm grateful for that.
Well, and you and me both, right? So like my show on Fridays, it's all virtual, right? So I have guests, I use StreamYard and things like that to go live. And it's always, somebody else is coming in as camera to camera. So it's whatever they have with whatever I have. And I don't leave my house. I record it from my bar. Like I built a bar in my basement specifically to do that. And because I drink during my show, so it gets kind of entertaining. But that was the whole premise. It's a happy hour. So yes, eventually would I love to have like a studio with a bar in it, kind of like how Stone Cold, because again, that was the whole premise of the show, was a cybersecurity version of what Stone Cold does for WWE with his Broken Skull sessions. So would I love an area in a studio one day? Yeah, but I also recognize I got a wife, I got 5 kids, and I'm doing a lot better today than I was yesterday. And what I think people forget is they always try to compare themselves to others. I've made that mistake. I've looked at the viral videos. I've looked at the big podcasts and the dumb stuff that some of them talk about and like how some of these people get popular. And so then I'll start comparing myself to them. Like, why ain't I at that level? Why am I not there yet? Then I realize, one, I can only compare myself to myself. The moment I compare myself to anybody else, and you'll hear differing opinions on this. For some people, that's a growth opportunity, right? They're like, oh, you should do that because you have something to aspire to. But if that's all you're doing, then you're always going to be behind because you're taking their day 1,000 and comparing it to maybe your day 50. They've been doing it for longer. They've been in the game longer. But it also comes down to a different way of looking at things, right? Because when I look at things, what I want people to get out of my show isn't the edits. It's not the glitz and the glam and what a lot of people do on podcasts with these huge studios and all these teams surrounding them where it's like, oh yeah, you can do these edits, you can do these, I want you to listen. I want you to actively listen and make that cognizant decision. If I have to go out of my way to do all this stuff for you to listen to a message, then you weren't there for the message in the first place. You were there for the visual effect. And I'm just not big on trying to so-called market to somebody's brain. I'd rather you see, listen, and grow versus see, try to see again, it didn't trigger my brain, so I'm going to leave now. Like I just don't work that way.
You also start to build this community of people who are there for the right reason, right?
Right.
Because as soon as your quality isn't up to par, they're gone.
Yeah.
But you're always going to be you.
Yeah.
So like you start to build this community of, and that's like when you look at numbers, you're like, oh, this one got 200 views, right? Imagine a room full of 200 people watching you.
Yeah.
You're like, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
But online, it's been so watered down. You're like, I only got 200 views.
Oh yeah.
Dude, 200 views, that's a lot of people looking at you and what you have to say.
And there's been many times I've wanted to quit. Like, let's be honest. Like, is it worth my time? Right? I look at the time it takes to find a guest. And again, this is for the longer form content, but like find a guest, develop that conversation. Sometimes I'll market it prior to, other times I won't, things like that, because cybersecurity is huge, but it's also a niche market, right? So even though I talk about other topics, it's not necessarily going to hit that target market. It's not going to hit outside of that realm of cybersecurity. So I understand that aspect of it, but like to market it and be like, all right, I have LinkedIn, I have all the different social media accounts and things like that. Is it going to hit? Honestly, again, to your point, I used to get mad. I used to be like, well, why am I not getting something? But, this person is, and I feel my show is better and provides more value. But at the end of the day, I got tired of always being upset because I'd still have that one or those two people that would be like, dude, that was awesome. Like, I learned a lot. I got a lot from it. And so I had to change my mindset. If I can just reach one person, then I've done something right. I've done something good. I'm making a positive impact in the world. Instead of looking at the negative side of things of, well, I'm not there, or why do they have this and I don't? I have people that will actually message me and be like, dude, I loved it. Like, I learned so much from this.
And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. If you're doing this for the right reason, that is what matters.
Oh yeah.
What drew you to the cybersecurity? Out of all the things you could be doing in the military, there's 1,000 MOSs you can do. Like, what was it that drew you to cybersecurity, and what is it that you do if you're able to talk about that?
So what drew me to it was, I had been in computers for a long time, like we discussed earlier. And in 2004, when I graduated high school, wireless was just becoming big. So your broadband internet and wireless internet was just, hitting the market. And so I went through Air Force training, got all my training and everything that had to do with IT fundamentals. So fixing computers, operating systems, networking, things like that. Well, I happened to be living in my apartment at the time, and I was sitting there. I was like, there's got to be a way to break into a wireless network. And so I just started researching it and looking it up and doing more and more. And I fell in love with, the offensive side, the breaking into things. And then I wanted to do that for a living. That was always what I wanted to do. So my time in the Air Force, I tried doing more and more with that. They didn't really have the jobs yet. And as I was starting to get out of the Air Force and go to the Army, they had finally come out with them. And I was like, all right, whatever. So when I went to the Army, I was actually supposed to do that. That was supposed to be my job, was for the United States Army, be an offensive security person. And it never happened. I ended up getting into the defensive side eventually and doing more blue team stuff, as it's called. But I self-taught myself everything. I just loved it. I don't know why, something about it. I was just enthralled by the entire aspect of breaking into things. Probably because as a kid, my buddy used to send me what was called a punter at the time and kick me off my dial-up internet on a regular basis. Bastard. But so I just became enthralled by it. And then as I got older, I got more into the defensive side of things, especially with my training. And I realized that I loved all aspects of cybersecurity. Something about it, the constant challenge, the always learning and growing and things like that. There was just so much more to it than other career fields for me. And also because I've never been a physical guy. Like, I grew up playing football and stuff, but I wasn't a gym rat. I wasn't infantry. I wasn't a door kicker. So for me, I felt the best way I could provide for people, my government, and my country and things like that was in cybersecurity. I could protect people. I can do what's necessary without being on the front line and being a door kicker. More props to them. I just didn't have that mentality.
You're a digital door kicker.
Oh, yeah. That was the way I looked at it, right? And so I wanted to protect people and I wanted to help others. And I felt that was the best way I could do it. I could utilize that skill set to do something that others do physically, I could do behind the scenes and behind a screen. And now as I've gotten more, I never wanted to be in leadership. Like, even as an NCO in the Army, I was like, I hate leadership. Like, I didn't want to be in charge. And I think the Army put a bad taste in my mouth too, because it was, if your soldier gets in trouble, you get in trouble, right? So if they get a DUI, it's your fault. But I wasn't there.
But you're his leader.
Yeah, right? So it kind of put a bad taste in my mouth. I didn't want to be responsible for somebody else's actions that would be a detriment to me being at home with my wife and kids. So when I got out of the Army, I was like, I never want to be a leader again. Let me play on my keyboard, do what I need to do, and leave me alone. But things change. And I realized that I was finding myself more ingrained in the mental health, resilience, discipline, motivation, that side of things, that I didn't want to touch a keyboard anymore. I wanted to get into that leadership position so that I can help motivate and mentor the next generation of people coming up that are going to be smarter than me. And so now I finally hit that position almost 2 years ago now, when I became a manager at my current role. And so now I manage people and I'm a leader in that aspect. And I'm able to help them grow and find them learning opportunities and get them to see the best sides of what they can do and grow as individuals and within the cybersecurity space, while still maintaining my show in cybersecurity and being a leader in cybersecurity. Now I have more of a voice, I guess you would say, because I've been in it for so long. But then I can bring mental health, motivation, and everything to the other side of my content. So I still have Cyber Warrior Studios, but it's not just cyber. I honestly, I only have one cybersecurity show, and that's my podcast. Everything else that's cybersecurity is old. I have old technical content and stuff like that on there, but everything that comes on there now is motivation, mental health, discipline, resilience. And it's just because I feel that it's a much needed factor in cybersecurity, because we burn out so quick. I was this close to burning out and never touching a computer again, because I was burning the candle on both ends, because you work all day. Now with the remote workforce, you're never away from a screen. I can still to this day pick up this phone at any time of day and I'll have a work message or an email or a text message that has to do something with work. And so if you can't separate that and step away, which is very hard to do in this industry, you burn yourself out, your mental health takes a hit, your motivation for sure takes a hit, and you're going to get to a point where you want to leave. But it's because you're not setting boundaries for yourself. And so it was another reason I got into management, because I was like, I'm going to force people to take time off. Go away.
Talk about it later. Usually I'm going to force people to work more.
No.
More production.
Right? And no, I'm the type of person, because I've been there. Like, even if something happens, if I can do it and I have the access to do it, and let's say it's a weekend, and I know it's only going to be a 5-minute fix, I'll go do it myself. I'm not going to call somebody to do something that I can do. Whereas other people will look at it and be like, oh, let me call, this dude to go do something. Like, dude, it's
take 10 minutes to find the solution that you could provide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but during the workday, yes, I will delegate. During the workday, yes. Hey, I need you to do this. I need you to do this. I need you to do this. Okay, cool. But after hours, dude, that's your time. If I'm at home and near a computer and I know it's only going to take me 5 minutes and I know how to do it, I'll go do it. But if it's something outside of my wheelhouse, now that's when I'll call someone who knows more than me. I'm like, hey, I need you to handle this real quick, because I honestly don't know what to do in this instance. But it's about knowing your boundaries, knowing what you know, and being able to ask for help when necessary. And when it comes to PTO, I have seen people go years without taking PTO. Hell, in the Army, good luck taking leave in the Army, especially at certain units, because you'd go to take leave and then they'd recall it because some idiot got a DUI or got arrested for something else. Hey, we got a deployment coming up. So even taking leave, I always had over 30 days of leave available every year because I was an NCO. When I took leave, I was still making phone calls. I was still getting stuff done. I was still talking to my soldiers. So leave wasn't leave. It was, okay, I'm just not going to show up to the office
remote.
This week.
I'm working remote. That's
it. I guess, even when I had surgery in the Army, I had a commander trying to get me to come back into work when I was on con leave. And I was like, dude, I've literally just had shoulder surgery. They recommended 30 days off. I've only been off for a week. And they were like, well, can you be here by Christmas Eve? No, dude, no.
Especially not Christmas.
Yeah. I'm like, go ahead and use my regular leave if you're not going to honor the con leave, because I already had regular leave in for that time. Well, no, dude, I'm not showing up. I'm like, I could barely move my arm. Good luck. Have fun. Not happening. And yeah, the commander didn't like that. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. What
was one of the challenges you faced transitioning from your role in the military doing this into civilian life? Because I feel like in the military, you kind of have this
structure.
Yeah, there's a structure. There's this, I'm this rank, therefore you can't question me kind of thing going on. Versus in the civilian world, everyone's like, oh, we're all the same. You just make more than me, or you've done this longer.
I think so having a defined set of goals and missions has been hard, because different companies have different things. Some are more capable than others, but also the lack of people that want to listen. So, for instance, let's say you see something wrong, and we see it in the military too, but I see it a lot more, especially in cybersecurity within the civilian world, is if you see something that's wrong and it can be done better or more securely, and you say, hey, we should probably do this. There's a lot more pushback, because it's how we've always done it. Or, well, that's going to take a month to do, and we're going to lose, $1 million worth of business because we're going to be down for 30 seconds. Dude, if you can't afford that $1 million to be down for 30 seconds, imagine you getting hit with ransomware or something like that, and now you're down for a month and losing even more money.
But it hasn't happened yet.
Exactly. So I think that's been the hardest part is being able to come up with solutions, because now you have to sell it. You have to make a business case behind everything you want to do. Whereas in the Army, a business case didn't matter. You didn't need a business case. You just needed to say, hey, as an NCO, as an E5 or an E6 or E7 or first sergeant or whatever, hey, we're going to do this. Why? Because I said it, because it's going to get done. Okay. And this is what we're going to do. Now, sometimes if you're a junior NCO or, you're not yet at the level of a first sergeant, you have to give a case, a mission reason for that. But as long as you can put it towards, hey, this will be beneficial for the mission that we're trying to accomplish, then it's not a problem. But in business, everything revolves around money. So you have to give a financial reason why it's beneficial. And for me, I think that's been the hardest part, because as many businesses I've tried to start, right? So when I first retired, I tried to start a business, realized I suck at sales. Well, it isn't that I suck at it. I hate cold calling people.
Same.
I am so bad at like, hey, I really want your business. Like, no, that just wasn't me. I was just like, you know what, this isn't going to go anywhere. So
I struggle with that with real estate. As a real estate agent, you kind of work for yourself, but you're a part of a broker, right?
Right.
And they give you classes and courses, and this is what you should do. Send a flyer to everyone in your neighborhood. It's like, if someone wants to sell their house, I feel they're gonna reach out, because they want to sell it. I'm not gonna go to knock on your door and be like, hey, are you looking to sell?
Yeah.
Because if someone did that to me,
I'd be
like, does it look like I want to sell?
Does it look like I'm packing my house right now?
I'm not selling. So that's something I also struggle with, in a sense of like, because I went to school for marketing.
Yeah.
And they tell sales, quote unquote sales, there was this mindset of go out and get it, go out and get it, go out and get it. But you're not going out and get it. You're going out and trying to take. And I never could get around with that. Yep. I like more the branding and building something and telling a story through social media or through graphics or through creation. That's the part that kind of like got me. And then through that, sales shall come. If you are selling something that is worthwhile, someone's going to come and want it.
Oh yeah. And that's why and that's kind of why I like the content creation side of things and podcasting. Now, I don't have any sponsors, so if anybody wants to sponsor me, feel free.
There you go.
But
Dell.
because that's how you make your money as a company that's like, hey, you have something here. Let me pay you to say, hey, this is show sponsored by, so-and-so. Bet all day. But to go out there and have to sell it and be like, nah, like I'm not going to go out there and sell some product. I'll be the engineer in the back side that's sitting there telling them why, like, okay, this works this way, this way, this way. But don't make me be the one to get on the phone and be like, hey, so you really want this? Like, especially as a cold call. Like, no.
How'd you get my number? Remove me from your list. Like, that's the first thing. Remove me from this list. It's not a list. I found your number online. Right. Yes, I'm weird. I'm being weird. Like, that's weird to me. So you're more into, how did that, you started doing content creation. Talk about your podcast. Like, how did that come to fruition?
So, all right, my original dive into content creation, I deleted the video probably about 2 years ago now, give or take. But it was a video where I just went on this rant because I was going to build a brand around Scheller cybersecurity, which was my original business I was going to start at the time, being consulting. And I went on this rant about poor hiring practices within cybersecurity and kind of the way they do things. Did a few other videos, built up a little bit more, and I was like, one, this business is going nowhere, so I need to rebrand. So in 2019, I think it was, 2018, 2019, I rebranded to Cyber Warrior Studios. And actually, it might have been 2020 I did it. And I was like, I've been watching wrestling and saw Stone Cold doing these Broken Skull sessions where he would have a beer or a whiskey or whatever, drink and have wrestling conversations with former and or current wrestlers. It's like, I want to do that same thing, but in cybersecurity. Now, I had this idea probably mid to late 2019 before COVID was even around. Like, it wasn't even thought of as like, oh, we're going to be shutting down and, all this other stuff. So when I started the show, it was virtual just because of financial reasons. It was easier to like, hey, you use your camera and microphone. I'll use my camera and microphone. We'll do it virtually. And that way everybody can kind of watch and whatever. And the first few episodes were pre-recorded. And so I started doing that. And I thought it was like, in my eyes, I really enjoyed what was coming from it. Now, it wasn't in a studio. There was nothing fancy. It was me sitting at my office desk just talking to people. And I was like, I really like this. I get to have a beer and talk to people about security. That's like awesome to me. And so it kind of grew from there, where I was doing motivational videos. I was doing technical videos. I was doing like news videos. I had all these different concepts of content I was creating at that time. But the one thing that I could not get away from that I loved was the podcast, was Security Happy Hour. So eventually the technical videos stopped. I realized that there's smarter people out there than me that are doing this, and I may or may not be providing the value that they are. Plus, I didn't enjoy the editing side of, pre-record, screen share, like all this stuff that went into it. I was like, I don't have the time of day for all this. So I quit making those. The news went away really quickly because there was other news channels out there that were doing the same thing, and they were actually really good at it. And I was like, cool, I don't need this anymore. But I kept my Motivation Monday videos for a while, and was still doing happy hour. And then when I moved back in 2021, I took a little hiatus from happy hour and Motivation Monday to rebuild my office because we had just bought a new house. I had to rebuild everything, get everything ready to go. And I went back to happy hour, but didn't do Motivation Monday. And I came to realize that I was missing that, but I no longer wanted to just randomly come up with topics and talk about for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes just by myself. I was like, it's
tough, man.
It was something that like, I felt like I got very repetitive. I figured, all right, so I took that away and I started a whole new podcast called Walk With Me. And I started that in 2022, I think it was, or 2021. And I did 50 episodes. Literally every week on Wednesdays, I released a new episode. And originally I was stemming my concepts around the Havamal, which is the words of Odin and the wisdom of Odin, and was taking stanzas from there and kind of putting a modern twist and or understanding behind it, and how it can help you in day-to-day life. Then I got through all the good ones that could really help you in life, all the good stanzas, and just started doing topics on my own. I did 1 or 2 videos with guests. I actually have a 2-parter out there with a bunch of men talking about men's mental health and things like that on an episode, 2 episodes. But then even then, that kind of went away just because, again, it was a lot of time, a lot of editing. I still have a full-time job. I have a wife. I have 5 kids. I have other things going on. So I took a break from that and technically still on a break. But those 50 episodes are still out there. They're on YouTube. I still have the audio version podcast out there. Like, it's all there. And then Security Happy Hour, after I got my office fixed and started doing that again, I realized I didn't want to let this go. Like, I will not let that one die. And it is literally because it has helped so many people connect with others in the industry, both new and veterans of the industry, that I feel like, even again, to the point of before, even if it's just 1 or 2 people, it still has value. Others may not see it. Executives may not care. Sponsors may not care because it's not popular. It's not getting thousands and thousands and thousands of views, but it's helping the people that need help. There are people that legitimately tune in every week live at 7 p.m. Eastern time to watch and to ask questions and to interact with my guest at that time or myself. And so from the time I started it, where it was pre-recorded, to now that it's live, and it's been live, we're at like 200 and some episodes. Like, it has been the best thing I've ever done. And it is solely because I feel like it has so much value to the industry and what people get from it. Instead of just telling stories, now people can interact and ask questions. Instead of just hearing some executive's position on how cybersecurity could be, they're hearing people that are in college that are trying to break through. They're hearing people that they're in their first year. They're hearing people that are CISOs and executives. They're hearing people that are doing, governance and regulation versus just all the technical work and the engineering side of things. And so you get so many different aspects of it. And it's not just a story. It's questions and answers. It's how we can do better as an industry. It's how you can break into the industry. It's, all these different things that go on. And to me, it's worth it.
It's very organic. Very organic.
That's how I've always, so even with my original with Walk With Me, my very first episode was completely scripted. I literally wrote out the entire script. And even with Happy Hour, I started off with like written questions that I wanted to ask. And then I realized I hate that. I absolutely despise having things written down because then it's not authentic to me. It's, this is planned out. And I am not an actor. I have never been an actor. So for me to put emotion behind something and act like it has value, if I don't believe it, I don't believe it. And if I have to write it down, it's not authentic. I'm not going to believe it.
I feel that was my biggest struggle starting out as well. I just want to take a second to shout out a few companies who believed in me. These were one of our first official sponsors, so huge shout out. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Carbo Jewelers, established in 1997 on the values of honesty and integrity. Whether you're searching for the perfect piece, need expert repair services, visit Carbo Jewelers in Newark's Ironbound District, where your jewelry is always in safe hands. This episode is also brought to you by Continental Jewelers, proudly serving Hudson County, New Jersey since 1964. Whether you're seeking a timeless piece or need expert repairs, they've got you covered. Visit Continental Jewelers, your trusted source for all things jewelry. You can find them on Instagram at Carbo Jewelers or online at carbojewelers.com. Lastly, big shout out to Carbo Trading. Besides coins, precious metals, and jewelry, if it could be traded and collected, he's probably got it. They can be found on Instagram at carbo.trading. You can find all of our sponsors out online on our sponsor page at therelentlessproject.com. My first episode was by myself, and it was kind of just to give the structure of what I anticipated the podcast being.
Right.
And I, like you, I put everything, intro, make sure I mention this, make sure I mention this, first part, make sure I mention this. And I did it over and over and over and over and over. And I was just like, man, this is going to be harder than I thought. Mm-hmm. And then the one I ended up just posting was I had like a quick sentence outline just to like, because I do go off sometimes. I need reeled in. And I found myself not even looking at it. And I was like, you know what? It wasn't where I anticipated it going, but we're just posting it.
Yeah.
And it got so much good feedback. And I was like, wow. So like I adopted a method of that where I'll provide people like, hey, this is kind of where I anticipated going. Yeah. It's not question or answer, but just so you have an idea, because I'm going to ask you about what got you into this. And if I ask you this now, some people who, you're on a podcast, so you're probably better spoken than most. I feel like I've developed, better conversation since doing the podcast. So I don't want people to hear like, oh, why did I? So it kind of gives them a heads up, but it's also like, it's not question or answer.
Yeah.
Right. Like I had one guy I did an episode with and I provided him like, hey, this is kind of where I see the conversation going. He came with like notes and I was like, whoa. He's like, well, these are going to be I was like, that's not, I don't know how to do that. Like that wasn't the point of this.
Yeah.
I was like, just flip your notes over. And we started going and talking. And then next thing you know, we went off for hours, bro. And it's like, you're right. Because when it's something you're passionate about, and like talking with people, if you enjoy that, it's going to be more organic. It's going to be raw and there's going to be more value.
Yeah.
Than if you're just like, what got you into, and then you're looking, right? Like, it's tough.
The hardest part for me as a podcast host, especially in this industry, is so in cybersecurity, you have a lot of people that are introverted and or on the autism spectrum somewhere, or so they can be very hard to pull answers out of. And so I have had guests where I legitimately have to keep asking questions to move the conversation along. And for me, that is so difficult because you're like, give me a topic and we'll go from there. And you get like one or two sentences out of them and then they shut up. And you're like, I thought this was going to be a longer. Cool. All right, cool. Let me think of another question and go from there. So to your point of having questions written down, that's awesome. And yeah, I should probably pay more attention to my guests and figure out whether or not I need to really do that. But at the same time, I'm like, I want the best for these people. So if people want to see how they really communicate, because my goal is to also help them get placed in jobs, if they want to share it, if they want to say, hell yeah, I was on this podcast and I was doing this. Your soft skills are a way to do that. Well, if you can't communicate, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to interview, for you to get a job, for you to kind of move up in the industry.
For you to get locked behind that desk.
Yeah.
Like you need to get to the desk first. How do we do that?
Yeah. So like for me, it's trying to consistently get people to kind of come as you are. Like, and that was the other thing is I noticed a lot of podcasts that I've seen, people are like, oh, you got to be professional, especially in cybersecurity, right? You can't swear. You can't, you got to be professional and be uptight. Like I've legitimately seen podcasts like that. I'm like, no. And people are like, well, do I have to? I'm like I legitimately had someone like, can I say that on him? I'm like, say whatever the fuck you want. It's my show.
I love when people come in. Literally last minute, he's talking, he's going, you can tell he's like passionate about what he's saying. Then he stops and he's like, am I allowed to swear on here? I done said 13 fuck words over here. Like, yeah, I think we're good. Because at the end of the day, like, I understand this podcast is not for everyone. Yeah. I don't want it to be for everyone.
No.
I want it to be for who it's for.
Yeah.
If you find value in it, it is for you. If you don't, thank you for giving me your 10 seconds. Go on about your day. Yep. Wish you the best.
I've literally seen people that like, going back to the social media point, that'll complain like, well, you had a good message till you swore. And like, it hasn't been said on mine because I make it very clear, like in any of my episodes, I'm going to do what I want, say what the fuck I want. And I drink beer while I'm doing it. So it's just going to get worse as it goes on. My mouth is going to lose all filter. And so like, if it's not for you, it's not for you. I don't give a damn. Like that's not my concern. My concern is the people that want to listen, the people that want to learn it and want to grow and understand that for a lot of people, swearing is not a bad thing. It shows passion and used in the right areas, it accentuates a point so that you can get value out of it and understand the importance of it. So when people are like, oh, you swear, so I can't watch. All right, good fucking for you. Like, I don't fucking care.
But like, if that's what loses the message, it's like, were you listening?
Yeah. And like I had one, so I had it because I used to do more merch. Now I think it's all up there. I don't even know if the site works anymore for buying merch, but came up with a shirt. It said security happy hour on it. And on the back it said came for the beer, stayed for the conversation. And I had someone be like, well, I wouldn't wear this to a conference. I'm like, you may not, but I would. Like, yeah. It's a cybersecurity conference. Literally, I go to conferences half the time just to go drink beer and not like have to worry. Like,
what is a conference for if you're not drinking beer and networking?
I'm like, that's how I network.
Or tequila for me.
Right?
I'm a big tequila guy.
So I'm like, okay, then don't buy it. They're like, well, it's against some people's religion. Again, then don't buy it.
Yeah, that's
it's not for them.
That's
it
fine.
Is legit. I'm not out here trying to promote what I do to every religion, race, creed, and everything in the world. It is literally for people that enjoy what I talk about and enjoy the fact and don't mind the fact that I swear and drink beer. If you're still getting the message, that's what's important. I could care less what you think of me as a person because I swear and drink beer. I could care less if you buy my merchandise because, it sponsors beer. Again, don't care. Then don't buy it. I got other stuff that doesn't have beer on it.
It's like friendships, right? Like, we're not friends with everyone because we just don't connect with everyone.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of life. Like, I may connect with you and I may not connect with you. I'm still going to remain cordial and respectful, obviously,
yeah.
but I'm not going to get beer with you and go out and have dinner and talk about life because we don't have that.
Right.
We do.
Right.
It's the same thing with platforms online and social media. My favorite is when a celebrity, right? These are people, right? They come out, not to get into politics, but they're like, oh, I support this person. Like, oh, man, I loved everything about you and everything you did until you said this. And it's like, so you didn't. Like, you want it to be tailored to, and now because this one thing doesn't agree with you.
But the algorithms have done that to us, right? So people talk about echo chambers, right? And it's a big thing, especially in politics right now, is echo chambers. Everybody's only listening to one side or the other. No one wants to listen to the other side. Algorithms have done that to you. Because what you like is what they're going to show you. What you share is what they're going to show you. What you comment on is what they're going to show you. So when people go out there and they're like, you're only in your echo chamber. Well, that's the algorithm, dude. Like, I'm not going to go out there and look for something I don't agree with. I'm just not going to go start. One, because I don't talk about it to begin with. But two, because I don't care. Like, I believe what I want to believe, and I'm going to go about my merry way. Now, if somebody wants to have a conversation about it offline somewhere else, cool. But in terms of my social media and what I want to view, yes, it's going to be an echo chamber. Absolutely.
That's why it's my social media.
Like, it's tailored to what you like and what you engage with. And so when people look at things and they're like, oh my God, you're in an echo chamber. You only listen to da-da-da-da. It's like, and... like, your point, it's an algorithm, dude. That's what it's going to do.
I saw a post online that someone said, and what is like the biggest flex of a response? It's like, you're in this, and what?
Yeah.
Like, how do you respond to that? But it's so true. If this is what I enjoy, this is what I'm going to pursue. Yeah. If you don't enjoy it, feel free not to pursue it with me. Yeah. That's the beauty of life. That's the beauty of all this stuff we're doing.
Well, and people forget about that, right? They want to go out there and look at things like social media and be like, oh, this is this person's real life. This is everything they stand for. Da 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 da. No, it's not. Social media is curated, and the personalities and the things you get from it are curated for you. It's not who they are. Now, whereas things that I do when I talk about motivation, when I talk about mental health, it's because that's what I care about. You don't know the rest of my life. I may bring up, oh yeah, I just had surgery on my knee, or I need to, get my shoulder looked at, or this, that, the third. But when it comes to like who I am, what I do, what I believe, where I work, things like that, I don't tell people. No, you want to go about your merry way and go look it up. Have fun. Not going to stop you. But in terms of what I discuss online, no, you don't know everything. You're not gonna know everything. And I don't care. I'm not here to give you my entire life story online half the time. When I put out content, it is stuff that I think shares value. It is not so you can go out there and try to be me, because there's only ever one of us. And if you try to be somebody else,
you can see through that immediately.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. I think social media, like you said, it's created this false expectation of, oh, look who this is. And then as soon as you see something you don't agree with or you don't like, or they swear, or they're wearing a shirt of a rival cartoon, you're like, and you're taken back. And it's like, these are all people. We're all doing life for the first time. Mm-hmm. We're all doing what we feel is fruitful for us and our families. We don't have to agree.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to get along. That'd be cool. But like, if this is so pressing to you that you hate me for it, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yeah.
Avoid me.
Yeah.
Avoid me. I'm not going to go out of my way to find you.
No.
So you will never see me again. If you don't like, you will never see me again, because I'm not going to chase you.
Yeah. But we do that in relationships too, right? Like, people get all up in arms about when like relationships get messed up. It's like, dude, if it's not there, it's not there.
Yeah.
I've been stabbed in the back. I get it. But guess what? I'm not going to go out of my way to freaking try to make it better. I don't care. It does not affect me, because I'm not going to let what somebody else does, what somebody else says, what somebody else thinks of me affect who I am as a person. Now, down the line, sure, things like spousal relationships, like, boyfriend, girlfriend, and if you're married or whatever, yeah, that's a whole different can of worms, and you're still going to have issues with that. But then it really comes down to, how important is it to you?
Yeah.
How big was the mistake? There are things that go on, man. Couples fight all the time. If you're not fighting, you're not communicating. Because let's be honest, only when you communicate do fights happen. And it's usually because somebody did something, and 9 times out of 10, unless you're a dick, it's something stupid. You bought the wrong meat, or you didn't take the trash out, or, whatever the case may be. More serious fights are a different story. But half the time, if you're not in little spats on at least a weekly basis, you're probably not talking to each other. And that's even worse.
Yeah, we've all been there where we're like, I don't want to upset them. I don't want to offend them. And then we shell up and we don't express ourselves. And then we go about this lie of a relationship. And then 3 years, 4 years, 5 years down the road, you're like, who the fuck am I?
Yeah.
Like, I don't enjoy doing this. I don't like this. I don't like when you do this. But I never voiced it. So whose fault is it? Mine.
Yeah.
I did not voice it, or I wasn't authentic in my communication. That's on me.
That comes back to everything we do, though.
Yeah.
One of the big things I talk about a lot is being authentically you, being unique. Because everybody, like, people talk about, well, that's not normal. What's normal? Somebody please explain to me what is normal, especially when it comes to humanity. Because if you are considering normal as, oh, you're like everybody else, no, you're not. And if you try to be, you're a liar.
That's not normal.
Because
if you try to be like everyone else.
Yeah.
That's not
like it's not normal. And so nobody's normal. Everybody is unique and an individual. The moment you try to be like somebody else, you're not yourself. And you're just doing it to fit in. So you're the weird one. Not the people that are weird. You're weird for thinking you need to act like somebody else just to be accepted. You're in the wrong group then, guy. Go to a different group. Like, I know that if I were ever to be a CEO or a CISO, there's going to be certain times where they're going to make, you have to wear a suit and tie into this. Will I? Probably, because I want to keep my job.
Yeah, it's up for discussion.
Will I enjoy it? Oh, hell no. I do not like the monkey suit. I hated dress blues in the Air Force. I hated the dress blues in the Army. I despise having to wear a tie. I despise wearing button downs. Like, growing up I did, but it was never buttoned. I had a wife beater under it with my button down shirt open, and that's how I went to school. Like, I've always despised dressing up. The closest you get is I switch this out for a polo.
And that's be careful. Be careful. No, that's true. That is so true. Sometimes we do stuff because we have to. Doesn't mean we enjoy it. But like, there comes this balance of, is it worth doing it? Yeah. I want to keep my job. I like paying my bills. Yeah. And I can reach the people I want to reach in doing this. I'll wear a suit for this meeting.
Yeah.
The next time, I'm wearing my T-shirt.
Yeah.
Balance, baby.
Yeah. Like, I don't see the point to trying to fit in with everybody. Now, me as an individual growing up, I like all types of music. So that wasn't me trying to fit in. That was just the fact that I could talk to anybody about just about any type of music. It could have been rap. It could have been pop. It could have been boy bands. It could have been country. It could have been you name it. Dude, in my CD case growing up, yes, I had a CD case. Don't judge me. I had Garth Brooks, NSYNC, DMX, Eagles, Leonard Skinner, like you name it. I
But
probably
did you have
had it.
Nickelback?
Yes, I had Nickelback.
Thank you. I love Nickelback. I don't understand what they did to piss off the country, the world. But when people nag on Nickelback, I'm like, well, hold on. We're supposed to hate them?
I had Creed, Nickelback, you name it. Legitimately.
I'll take them with arms wide open.
Right? With just about every type of music and every band I probably had. Linkin Park.
Oh, come on.
Like,
Linkin Park is
you know, Metallica, AC/DC, like everything. Don't get me wrong. I've never been a huge fan of like heavy metal. So like any music that had screaming in it, you'd have to have a few songs where you actually sang. And Slipknot is actually very good about that. They have some really good songs where the main singer actually sings. But I'm just not a fan of screaming. And I'm like, I can't.
Gives me like worked up. I'm in the car. I'm like, I'm just trying to get home. Why am I so enraged?
Why am I so mad right now?
But there's people. Some people enjoy it. That's cool.
But like, so like I've been called names just because they're like, oh, you listen to NSYNC and DMX? Yeah, and I also listen to Bone Thugs and Harmony, Dr. Dre, Garth Brooks. Like,
I listen to it all. That's so fun. I'm the same way. Like one of my biggest not fears, but when people were like, "What's your favorite blank?" And I'm like,
I don't have one.
I don't have one. I like, what's your favorite song? In what genre? And even in that, I don't know because I like, dude, I'll listen to like this. There's this new genre of music, not new, but like new to me. It's this Cali pop, right? Like kind of rockish, kind of popish, a lot of singing. Like I play it and I want to put my windows down, stand up in my Jeep, and just like feel the wind in my hair.
Yeah.
And then the next one I'll be playing, you know, salsa or merengue, like touching my Puerto Rican roots. And the next one I'm listening to metal, where I'm like, yeah, I'm about to go to the gym. I want to fuck someone up. Like I listen to it all. Vanessa Carlton, 1,000 Miles. I listen to that. And people are like, they look at me like, what, dude? If you could listen to music, I listen to it at the gym. People look at me, they're probably like, this dude's ready to just murder someone. I'm probably listening to like country or leany or something. Like you
listen
would be
to some old friends in low places, Garth Brooks.
Yeah, you're like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine.
Dude.
Or I'm listening to a book. Like people are like, how are you? Like, I don't know, just whatever mood I'm in. Like that's my channel. I'm channeling my Garth Brooks to lift this.
I'm real big like these days. I like country rap. So like Adam Calhoun and Upchurch and Jelly Roll and Struggle and like I love that type of music right now. But it's because in certain songs they are able to blend two of my favorite genres, country with the instruments and then rap. So like to me, I enjoy that type of music. I mean,
you see a lot of rappers coming into the country side now.
Yeah, but I think there's a difference, right? So to me, there's a difference when you try to blend the two than when you try to all out. If you were a rap artist for the longest time,
just doing country,
and you're like, oh, I'm going to do country now. Is it going to hit? Do you have that voice? Do you have the lyrical talent to slow down your beat, slow down your lyrics to where it works? Versus when you bring the two together. Not everybody likes the two together. And hey, everybody has their flavor. Everybody has their taste. Good for you. You don't have to like it. Me personally, dude, you give me a Struggle Jennings album or a Jelly Roll or an A-Cow. Like there's certain songs I don't like from Adam Calhoun, but at the end of the day, I still like a lot of his music. Same with Upchurch. I don't like everything, but I like a lot of his music. You put them on, 9 times out of 10, I'll listen to the entire thing.
Yeah, music is definitely one of those industries where you see a lot of blending of cultures, and it's cool. You know, like I'll listen, like Post Malone. I've listened to his old stuff. I've listened to his between stuff. I listen to his new stuff, but like I don't like all his songs.
Yeah,
people are like, oh, Post released an album, and I'm like, cool.
That's my buddy Liam. My buddy Liam loves Post Malone, and I'm just like, I honestly had never listened to him. Like he just never struck me as someone that I would want to listen to. And then I was listening to I always put on radio on my Apple Music, and this song came on, and I was like, oh, this is a really good song. Who is it? And I look, and it said Post Malone.
Cool.
All right. That one. I guess I do like him. All right, let's add that.
I like this one. But that's how I am with everyone. You know, people like follow an artist, and every song that comes out, like best song. I've never been like that. I'm like, this is a good one. This one I don't like. This one I kind of like. This one, if it comes on, I'll hear it, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to play it.
One of the artists that's like that I see a lot of because I watch a lot of reaction videos to music too. Like Tom McDonald is, I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he does a lot of the stuff that's gotten popular for him is like his political music.
He's got the like long white hair, or had the long white.
He had like dreads for the longest time.
He had like a video in a classroom.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've listened to it.
So I've listened to a lot of his music. Some of it I don't like. Some of it I do. But like the best ones for me are the ones that are non-political and it's just him going off. So like best rapper ever, God Mode, and crap, I can't think of the other one right now. But Don't Look Down. To me, those three are some of my favorites because it's inspirational almost. Like when he talks about best rapper ever, that's literally him competing against his demons, competing against himself to be the best. Yes, there's other lyrics in it, but ideally that's what I get from the visualization of it. I'm competing against me. I'm competing about my own internalized hate and demons and things I've been through and, the things people say online against what I know I'm capable of. Don't Look Down is just, hey, I'm not looking down to your level and comparing myself to you. If you want to catch me, I'm way up here. You've got to work for it. And right now, no one's on my level. So when I listen to these songs, to me, it's more about the message behind it and the inspiration that I get from it versus him just, whatever. So like when I hear the political songs, yeah, some I agree with, some I don't agree with, some are good, some are bad. A lot of people hate his hooks. Okay, whatever. Like there's certain reaction artists that are like, all right, let's try the hook now. Nope, this one still ain't it, Tom. This one still ain't it. And like for me, I'm just kind of like, whatever. But I listen to messages in music. So like, and that's the other thing to me with music and mental health and motivation, things like that. It's all about the message you're trying to send. If I can't hear your message or understand your message, I'm not going to listen. I have no reason to. Yeah. So like when people talk about some of the best rappers ever, Bone Thugs and Harmony, as fast as they were, I understood every word. I may not be able to speak and rap as fast as them, but Crossroads was one of the best. But like I understood and could hear every single word. Country music, there's some really good country artists out there. I don't like their message because a lot of it gets melodramatic and oh my goodness. The
dog left, the wife left, and the truck is broken.
Just wait till the truck can drive itself, but then eventually the truck's just going to go off on its own.
There's a dirt road everywhere.
So like I listen to music for the message. Sometimes, I want something fun. Like summertime, I will throw on some Kenny Chesney and listen to like, whatever I feel like that day or whatever the case may be. But I need a message with my music. And that's how I am with life. Half of the things I listen to, I watch, I look at online, especially Instagram. Instagram's been really good about it for me. I want the motivation. I want the inspirational posts. I did this good today. Or, hey, keep your head up, keep driving on, da-da-da. Because sometimes we forget to tell ourselves that. And so that's also why I create the videos I do that are in shorts, is because in everything we do, you need to listen to the message. If you're not listening to the message, you're missing out. Because it's the message that's important, not what you see. And everybody's like, oh, I need someone that looks like me or this, that. No. Listen.
What's being said? What's the intention behind what's being said?
Yeah.
I'm a big intention guy, right? Like you can say something that doesn't hit, right? Like, or it may be abrasive, but like because I go after intention, I'm more willing to sit there and be like, well, what'd you mean by that?
Yeah.
Like, where did that come from?
Right.
And then once you can peel those layers, you can be like, oh, cool. I actually fuck with what you were saying.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't like the way you said it.
Yeah.
But I can understand where you're coming from.
And that's the big thing. People are afraid to take that out. And again, that's why there's a difference. And this is why people that like do things but listen to a podcast or do something but watch TV or do something while they're doing something else or even being on a phone while talking to somebody, right? You're not listening. People are listening to respond. So there's a phrase out there called active listening. It is when you are legitimately, your intention is to hear, understand, comprehend, and then respond. Sometimes they don't want to respond, and you can get that from the intention of the message. And so they just need someone to talk to. But when you're actively listening, you hear, you understand, and you can comprehend a lot better. If I were to sit here, pick up my phone, and be on my phone the entire time while we're having this podcast, I probably would miss about 3/4 of the things you say and be like, hey, can you repeat that? Hey, what'd you say? You're not listening.
It'd be tough to further the conversation too.
Yeah.
Because I'm over here like, oh, is he listening to me? Should I pause? Should I wait?
Yep.
And like now that we're creating that mental friction, I'm a big proponent of like at dinners, at stuff, whatever, like I'll literally put my phone and like it's more of like one, so my ADHD doesn't go rampant because as soon as I see a little clink, I'm like, boom.
I'm so bad with
But
that.
it's also to tell the person I'm with or talking to, like, you have my undivided attention. I'll put my phone down and slide it away or put it in my pocket.
I was going to say, so one of the things that we need to start doing as part of just a reframing our minds, because we're attached to our phones. Everything about life is on your phone now, right? No matter what you do for work,
banking,
9 times
work,
out of 10,
everything.
like it's all there. If you are, let's say you're going out on a date or you're going out with family or you're with somebody where communication is going to be had, right? Out at dinner, out at a theme park or whatever, put the damn phone away. Because again, to your point, your brain is going to catch that light go off. I know, I do it when I'm sleeping, right? I'll go to lay down, then all of a sudden a notification will go off on my phone. I'm like, oh, hold on, what was that?
Should I check?
Should I look at that? Like, so you need to put it away. Just putting it upside down on the table,
Still there.
you're still there. You're still thinking about what that phone is. How many notifications am I going to have? I should probably pick it up. I need to look at that. No, you don't. Put it away. Out of sight, out of mind. Hell, leave it in the car. There is utterly no reason, unless you're using Apple Pay or Google Pay to pay for your meal. If you're out somewhere that takes card or cash, there is no reason to take your phone with you when you are supposed to be in the moment with the person. And that goes back again to these relationships we build in our lives in general. We spend so much time either in the future or in the past. How much time do you spend in the moment? Because it's in the moment that you actually see what's going on. And so I got another video. I actually thought about it last night. I'll have to do it when I get home today. But if you think about it this way, you're supposed to plan for your future. Your eyes shouldn't always be on the future because now you're missing what's right here, which means an obstacle is going to come up and you're not going to know what to do because you didn't see it coming because you were too focused past it to realize what's in front of you. Or you're so focused on the past that now when you've made those mistakes, when you've come to those obstacles and it took you a while to get over it, you're so focused on that, it's bringing down your mental health. It's full of negativity. You're not taking the positive message. You're not learning from it. You're not growing from it. You're literally living in the past. Dude, I'm not a time traveler. I'm not here to live in the past. I'm here to live in the now. And so I will learn from that and say, okay, don't do this again. Don't do this again. And I may reflect on it every so often, just like, you know what? I've made it. Like I'm actually doing really good compared to where I was. All right, cool. I've got some things to look forward to, but I'm not going to live there. I'm not going to keep looking at the past and be like, man, I messed this up. I suck. Like, dude, I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. Like all this is going wrong in my life. Dude, it happened. Let it go. Learn from it, grow from it, and move on. And then, like I said, you should write down your goals. And we'll get into this in a second. Write down your goals, make your plans, and plan for the future. But then stop there. Now you want to focus on the now. Now you want to look at, okay, what do I need to do? What's in front of me? So if you're always looking at the future, you're going to look, and I've done this, right? You look at your wife, you look at your kids, and you're like, I'm a failure, right? I'm not here yet. I can't get here. I don't know how to get here. I don't know what I'm doing. Da-da-da-da-da. Or you're going to look at your past and you're going to have the same thing. I've literally sat there on my deck and bawled my eyes out, called myself a failure because I wasn't focused on what I have. I was focused on where I'm not yet and where I was coming from. I wasn't focused on what's here. And so when you look at things and you're not present in the moment, that happens more often than not. That's where a lot of our mental health issues comes from as men, is we're focused on, I want my family here, or I put my family through all this. Focus on the now. What can you control? What can you fix? Where's it going to go? When you learn to do that, now you've won. Because now you're in control of yourself, of your situation, and of your emotions. It's okay to express them, like we said earlier. Time and place. You should not be breaking down in front of your kids every day because you made a mistake. And that mistake was 6 years ago. Sorry, dude. Move on. But if you still need help, you still have trauma, you still have things you're dealing with, that's what a doctor's for.
Deal with them now.
Yeah. Go move on.
That's a good point. I think a lot of the mental health stuff stems from things that don't exist, right?
Yeah.
And I say that because the past no longer exists. You can't grab it. You can't do it. Like the future is nothing but a thought. The past is a memory. The future is a thought.
Yep.
The only thing you can control and move is now. And oftentimes we're so focused, like you said, on the past or the present, we're ignoring the past or the future. We're ignoring the present, the things that can change and make atonement for the past and change your future. You know, and it's like, if you want something, right now is the time. They say the best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is right now, because that's over and done with.
So I'm gonna put it to you a different way, right? So a lot of people talk about dreams, and I talked about this. I think it was yesterday or the day before on one of my videos. People talk about dreams all the time. You know, I had a dream. I want a car. I want this job. I want to make seven figures. I want this. I want that. That's just a dream, my guy. What are you gonna do about it? Until you write it down on paper, it's always gonna be a dream, and you're gonna destroy your mental health because you never wrote it down. It's not a goal yet. You don't have plans yet. It's just a dream. So then the next step after a dream of something you think you want to do, whether it's a successful podcast or, you know, how can I get to $1 million in a bank account? You know, what steps do I need to take? Things like that. Until you write down what your goal is, you're never going to achieve it. It's never going to happen. Write it down. All right, cool. You've accomplished step one, but that's still just a goal. What's the plan? Where are you going to go with it? How are you going to get there? And so until you make that plan, now you got that goal and you're like, oh, I'm not achieving my goal. I haven't put a deadline on it. I haven't done this. I'm messing up so much. I don't know. Why is this going wrong? You never planned it out. You never figured out, hey, if I'm going to do these steps. And if anywhere in these steps it goes sideways and something doesn't work, okay, how am I going to overcome that? Like, what is the next option? So I tell a lot of people, right, you write down your goals, you make a plan to achieve that goal, but then you make a secondary plan. So that if any point in this phase fails, how can I adapt to that situation and change? Again, you should have a plan, a backup plan, and even go as far as a tertiary plan. Now, if all three of those fail, then it comes down to your resiliency to be able to get back up and be like, all right, now what do I need to change? What do I need to do different? Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. We do this all the time. Legitimately, all the time. We will make a goal, make a plan. That'll fail. We'll do the exact same thing, expecting a different result.
Changing nothing.
Nothing changed.
Just do it again.
Yeah. Let's just go over and do it again. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. And you're expecting something different. And so in order, now you have your goal, then you have your plans laid out and exactly how you're going to get there. Now you got to put deadlines on it. All right, I'm going to do this at this week. This is my part of my plan that's going to take this month. This is going to take a year to accomplish this part of the plan. Now you got your deadlines. Because if you don't have those deadlines, when are you going to do it? You got a plan,
Tomorrow.
But when are you going to put it in action?
Tomorrow. Next week.
Dude, we're huge procrastinators.
Yeah.
Huge. And so it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, I'll start tomorrow. So one of the things I like to tell people when it comes to goals and plans and things like that. So we're in March. Everybody makes New Year's resolutions, right? I don't, but a lot of people do. But here's what happens. Beginning of December, middle of December, like, all right, my New Year's resolution for this year is going to be to do X, Y, and Z. You're never going to do it. Why? Because if it's something you really wanted, you would have started the day. You would not have waited to give some excuse of, oh, I'm going to wait till the new year.
That's what it is. It's an excuse. It's like, on this fixed date that I have chosen is when the change will happen.
Yep.
Well, you've acknowledged a change needs to happen. You've acknowledged what needs to be done.
Just do it.
Just bump it up. You know?
So one of the biggest excuses I've seen is when people want to quit smoking or quit drinking. I know, I've done it myself. I don't want to waste money, so I'll quit smoking when I'm done with this pack. You get down to 3 cigarettes, what do?
I mean, yeah.
I'm going to go buy another so I don't run out.
It'll be my last pack, though.
Yeah, it'll be my last pack, and then you buy another pack, and that'll be the last one. And then you never quit. Dude, if you're going to quit something, quit right then and there. If you want to quit drinking alcohol, dump out all your alcohol. If you want to quit smoking cigarettes, throw them all away.
It's almost more beneficial because you're like, I want to quit. I'm taking an active step.
Yep.
Draining all these bottles that I've spent money, I've worked for. That's a shock factor of like,
I'm doing this.
I have to now.
Yeah.
I just dumped out all my alcohol.
Yeah.
I'm not going to dump it and then go buy another bottle.
Yeah.
Maybe down the road if you slip up, but like that's an active step of like a fuck you to that goal.
Yeah.
Like I want to quit. Boom. I'm dumping everything.
But how many people make excuses though? Again, like I said, I've done it. And the other thing people need to realize, if you don't truly want something, it's not going to happen. And this is huge for things that like addiction, right? Caffeine, alcohol, nicotine,
well, let's not
all of this
caffeine.
stuff. All of this stuff is an addiction, right? Caffeine's a huge addiction for people. And it's not considered a drug necessarily. It's not necessarily considered bad for you. If you go to a doctor, they're not going to say, how much caffeine do you have a day? Unlike alcohol, especially in the military, how much alcohol do you drink a day or a week or whatever, right? So, but we will sit there and we will be like, oh, I'll quit eventually. No, you won't. You don't want to. If you don't want to do it, you're not going to do it.
I need to eat healthier. I need to eat healthier. Well, now you're having a rush day.
Yeah.
You pass a fast food. Today's the exception. Today's the exception because I'm so busy.
Yeah.
I don't have time to cook. I'm just going to go grab this real quick.
Yeah.
It's just today, though.
Yeah.
Well, you just convenienced yourself. And then the next time it's easier for you to do that because you created this exception now, which means it exists. It's a rule in your goal now. Anytime I'm busy,
I'm just going to do
I'm just going to do it. Once out of 50. And if you're truly struggling with something like this, it's up and downs.
Oh,
right?
it's a process, man. You're gonna have relapses and things like that.
This more stems to like if you really want to do it. Hopefully that next time you go, I had that exception before. No, that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go home or go into a store and grab a bar or something.
But again, it comes down to the active decision of how you want to run your life, right? Yeah. So again, how I talk about you control your emotions, you control how you feel, right? People are like, oh no, you don't. Yeah, you do, right? So if I wake up and I'm like, I hate my job. I don't want to go to work. You're going to be tired. You're going to be fatigued. You're not going to be motivated. You don't want to go to work. You don't want to do anything. And you look at it as like, it's a bad day. You controlled that outcome. You made that decision. You decided this is what you're going to do and how you feel about it. So just like anything else, right? You actively make the decision to be a good person every day. You actively make the decision to be in a good mood. Yes, some things may bother you, but you're not going to let that get to you. So if I wake up on the wrong side of the bed, there goes my whole day, right? Because I decided it's going to be a bad day already. I decided I have to go to work. Oh, nay. You get to.
I was just going to go there.
You wake up and you get to go to work. You get to do something with your life, with your day, to make a change, to be beneficial and be better. You get to. Now, is that always going to motivate you? Hell no. There's days you might only have 30% motivation, but guess what? You're going to give all of it. You're going to give 110% of that 30%.
Yes.
And people need to realize you make the choice every day how you want to live your life. Do you want to be a good person? Do you want to do the right thing? Are you going to do what needs to be done? So a saying that I've seen a lot, and this is mainly for people that have, spouses and kids and things like that. So for me, I have a wife and kids, 5 boys. And a lot of times people are like, oh, would you die for your kids? I saw this real big on TikTok, right? Them asking all these women, would you die for your kids? And they were like, oh, no. Screw that. Would you live for your kids? Would you do the right thing to live as long as possible until your body finally gave out and live for your kids? And that is when your thought process changes. Because now you're like, wait, I have other lives I'm responsible for. I have other things, other responsibilities and people to influence that isn't just myself. Now, look, far be it from me. I like drinking beer. I like smoking cigarettes. We know this. There are certain things about my life that I'm still going to do that aren't the healthiest for me. We all have our vices in life. It happens. But I'm still going to go to the doctors and take care of myself. I'm still going to get mental health help when I need it. Because I know if I don't get that help, I'm going to lash out and yell at my kids or my wife for absolutely no reason. I am literally going to spiral out of control, start drinking too much, and go and be like, I'm horrible. This is ox, da, da, da. Or they'll, turn on the TV. It'll be a hair too loud. Turn that down. Like, no, there's no reason for that. So I have had to take steps to make sure I'm better. Everybody else needs to take steps to make sure they're better. And you make that decision every day. Are you going to do the right thing? Are you going to have integrity? Are you going to put forth your best effort? Are you just going to call it quits and be like, you know what? It's a bad day. I don't want to be at work today. This sucks. Screw this. I don't care.
That's a big pet peeve of mine. And I get it. Everyone goes through stuff. But like, you should be in control, right? Like your emotions, you feel them. Are you going to lash out?
Yeah.
Or are you going to go in your head, that really bothered me. That pissed me the fuck off. However, I'm not going to lash out. And you just go, all right, I'm going this way.
Yeah.
Like that's as simple as it is. You don't have to entertain whatever it is. Like your sergeant comes in or what your boss, whoever tells you, hey, go do this. Any other day, you'd probably be like, all right, bet, whatever, I'm doing it. But because you're having a bad day today, I'm going to take it out on everyone. No, just, I'm not having a good day, so I'm going to go do this so I don't fucking lash out.
And I've made that mistake.
We all have.
And it was just recent, like at work. Like I got a call at like midnight for one of the dumbest things. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like the dude literally called me. I was like, are you fucking kidding me right now? It's like, whatever. He goes, you call your guys. No, I'll just go fucking do it. Like, whatever, dude. So I go down, get on the call, fucking do it. And then the next day, and it was a Saturday. Hey, we need to, whatever, dude. And I'm like messaging my boss in the back end. One of the worst things you could fucking do is complain about work to your boss. Yeah. Because he's there too, dealing with the suck with you. And I'm just like, dude, what the fuck? Like, this is bullshit. Like, why the fuck? No. And so I had my one-on-one with him. He goes, so I'm like, oh, dude, I knew it was coming. I was like, I was completely in the wrong.
I own that.
I like, yep, that was me. I was like, and I already, like the dude that called me, I apologized to him too, like a day or two later, whenever we got on a call. I was like, Ricky, I'm sorry, dude. Like, my bad, homie. Like, I did not mean it. It was
But
late.
that's the next best thing.
I should not have acted that way. And then when my boss talked to me, I was like, dude, I was like, yeah. I said, I was wrong. I said, I'll own that 110%. I was like, that one's on me. He was like, this is just verbal, but you do it again. I was like, I got you. Tracking.
Appreciate the verbal. Appreciate the verbal, not the written. So thank you.
Tracking.
But like that's the next best thing, right? Like we're all gonna make mistakes.
Yeah.
How do we follow up?
Yeah.
Because oftentimes you'll see doubling down.
Oh,
well, no,
that's the
but
worst.
it was fucking late. Why is he texting me late?
Yeah.
Now you're arguing with your boss, and now that's never good. And then you just double down, and then you're in a hole you can't get out of. Instead of going, yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
Like I own that. I have this conversation with my daughter often. Like she had an iron. This is set down, but she had an iron and it was face down on the coffee table. Got water everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just me and her. So I'm like, what is this doing here? I don't know. It wasn't me. Now I'm annoyed. Who was it? It's you and me in this house. And like, this is how petty I get. You know, my Puerto Rican comes out. Like, who was it? If it wasn't you, it wasn't me. I'm looking around. I'm looking under couch. Who was it? Dad, you're always so extra. No. Now I'm going to double down. Who was it? She said, why do you always have to do this? Why do you always have to do this? Why can't you just be like, oh, that was me. My bad. Boom. Then I have nothing to say. Yeah. Oh, okay. Like all I wanted was acknowledgement of, hey, you just wet the entire coffee table. All you had to do was like, oh, my bad. Boom. Oh, I don't know who it was. Well, who was it? Now I'm going to get petty. You're going to make me work. I'm going to get petty.
I got, so with 5 boys, right, at home, me, my wife, 5 boys, it happens all the time. Who did this? I don't know. It wasn't me. All right, cool. Who did it? I don't know. It wasn't me. Now, look, it's one thing if you ain't snitching, right? I told them, quit snitching for the dumbest stuff. Yeah. Like, fix the problem, go away. Like, I'm not here for you to be a snitch for no reason, right? Oh my goodness, he changed the channel. Mom, no, shut up, go away. Like, deal
I feel
with
you.
it. But when it comes to when they start saying I don't know half the time, they're the ones that did it. Because if not, they'll blame. Like if you ask them, they'll blame their brother. Like my kids, when it comes to like someone got caught doing something, oh, it was him, or it was him, or it was him. Especially the youngers too. But when it's like I don't know, so you did it. Nuh-uh. Yeah, you did. Fix it. But no, go fix it.
Conversation's over.
Like I don't even want to hear about it.
Solution now.
Like especially like when it comes to like their game room and stuff like that. And like my youngest is like 7 years old, and I'm like, dude, and I'll tell him and my other one like, yo, clean up the game room. You guys were eating ice cream in here or whatever. There's garbage. There's pop cans. Get it cleaned up. And it's like, well, no, well, it was he did it. I don't care who did it. You're both in here.
Or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
What are you going to do in 5 minutes?
Yeah.
That you just can't take care of this right now and then do like what can't wait 5 minutes?
So going back to the video game thing, so that has become a pet peeve of mine. I'm in this game. It's a ranked game. I can't get out of it. Now look, I'm a gamer. I understand what they're talking about. But guess what? You were told 3 hours ago to go do this. Now if you don't go do it, I'm going to kill your game. I am literally going to unplug it, and you will lose your rank, and I might just take your console too. So,
and this is your doing. This was your doing.
like this is your chore. Go handle it.
That's the life lessons you teach these kids. One question I like to ask as we wind down is, people have been listening to this. They're in their cars. The podcast is over. They're going back to their daily lives, their work, the gym, whatever. What message do you hope people pull from listening to you and your story and kind of what you've shared today?
That your mental health is more important than you think, because so many people discount it. They look at it and they're like, oh, I'll deal with it later. Or again, to the point we were talking about earlier, right? I'm just going to push it down. It's not going to matter. This, that, the third. And I have conversations like this all the time. And it's like, well, I don't like to be vulnerable. I don't like to open up. I don't like to talk to people. Look, I get that, homie. But you're either going to do it now or you're going to do it when it's not convenient. You're going to do it when it's going to hurt you most. So go do it. Get yourself fixed. And I'm not saying take pills. I despise pills. I don't even take painkillers. Like, I legitimately hate pills. I don't want to take them. And so I tell people, I'm like, go work it out. Go talk to somebody. You don't have to go to a psychiatrist. Go to a psychologist. A psychologist isn't going to prescribe you something. They're going to talk to you and help you deal with it. And if you can't talk to them, especially for the men that listen, call a brother. Call someone you served with. Call someone who's going to understand. And yeah, we may talk shit. That happens frequently. But at the end of the day, we're going to listen. And we're going to understand. Because 9 times out of 10, we've been there. And we will completely understand. So understand that your mental health is probably the most important thing you can take care of, along with your physical health. But the last piece of that is going to be your spiritual health. If you are not, for those people that aren't spiritual, good for you. All right. I don't know how you get through your day-to-day life, but cool, good on you. But for those that have any type of faith, and I'm not talking religion, I'm talking faith and spirituality, keep that strong. Because when things go sideways, that's what's going to help you get back up. Because you're going to realize that you can do this, that you can overcome it, that you can continue on. And that'll keep you from hitting those dark places on a regular basis. Not say you're not going to hit them. Again, I spiral on occasion. But your ability to be resilient and bounce back and really get after it, you have to have all 3 things strong. Because if one of them fails, the other ones are going to fail eventually. Because you're going to start having issues in every other avenue of your life.
Hard now or harder later?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way I took that. Like, you can do the hard thing now or push it off, and it's going to be harder to deal with later.
Yeah.
Whether it's your health, your fitness, your relationships, that conversation at work, it's going to be hard now or harder later.
Yeah.
Choose it. Choose your hard now so it doesn't get chosen for you later.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Where can people follow you if they want to learn more, they want to tune into your show? Where can people kind of connect with you online?
So Cyber Warrior Studios, everywhere. The only difference is on X or Twitter, it's Cyber Warrior and then ST1. And it is only because I didn't know at the time that I could like fix my handle. And so I just kind of like created it and I was like, well, this sucks. And then I was like, oh wait, I could change this. Too late. I already had like 2,000 followers on Twitter. I was like, I'm not changing this now. I was like, screw it. It is what it is.
Hard now or harder?
Right? Cyber Warrior Studios. But yeah, Cyber Warrior Studios, cyberwarriorstudios.com. It's on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. TikTok, the only thing you'll see different is the handle is Cyber Warrior Studios, but the name says Digital Heathen. And it's only because I wanted TikTok to be a little bit of a different brand, but it's still Cyber Warrior Studios. And yeah, if you just look that name up, you'll find me everywhere.
I'll be sure to link it all in the end too. I think what you're doing is cool. I think it's inspirational, motivational, and there's a place for it, man. Like I'm going to tune in now. I started following you, so if I could pull some stuff from you, and apply it too, that's the name of the game,
yep.
Right? Like, bro, I appreciate you for jumping on. This is the one with Mr. Scheller. No, I appreciate it, man. I think a lot of value in this one, and I'm excited for it to drop just because when we start talking about the deep stuff and the life stuff, I get so many people who message me and they're like, man, this was so like, and I'm like, I know, right? Like, it was so cool. Like, so I think this is going to be one of those episodes that people can really connect with because it's a lot of life talk,
yeah.
And it's cool to sit here and hear people's stories and what they do and all the flashy and cool stuff. But like, it's cool to kind of be able to share our experiences to hopefully help other people further their journey. So appreciate you for jumping on. This is the one with Derek Scheller, and we are out. Later, bro.
Oh, the microphone.
Happens every time.